A huge thank you to Jeff Holmes for bringing you today's video via Patreon. Ruxa versus Ognis, with a 3-lander, pretty slow with no ramp, and some big spells there, so going to have to go down a card on this one. Alright, that's better. Got a couple of pieces of ramp, Sylvan Library, definitely keep that. Get rid of the Guardian Project in this instance, I think. I think Greater Good's going to yield more card draw for us. I thought I was the only one who ran Ognis in 1v1, so it'll be intriguing to see what my opponent does with it. Not drawing into a land, I was hoping to draw into a basic there so we can save the shuffle effect for Sylvan Library. Speaking of which, I think I'll concentrate on the card filtering here. We'll go Sylvan Library as opposed to the Rampant Growth. And then we can hopefully make 2 lands next turn, one with the Rampant Growth and one off the top. Our opponent not making any plays yet. Alright, and get to clear some cards off the top here. Going to help the aggro player with regards to life, unfortunately. I mean, we're going to shuffle some stuff, so maybe we don't need to do this. Yeah, we'll put these things on top, and then we can go Rampant Growth and shuffle them away. I'm just trying to be a bit more conservative with the life against an aggro player in Ognis. No turn 3 play either, shockingly. Alright, and we get into a land in Yavimaya. Worldly Tutor is worth keeping as well, so let's put... We're actually not going to shuffle here, are we? We can if we go Worldly Tutor, so yeah, let's put Mana Reflection on top and pay 4 into the Yavimaya, so dump the Yavimaya. Get out the extra planar lens here. That will exile a tapped Snow Forest, which our opponent has none of, thankfully. And now our basic lands tap for 2 mana. Hold up the Worldly Tutor during our opponent's turn. We've fixed our opponent's green mana, but they don't have any black yet. Can still get down their commander here, and they do, playing Ognis, the Dragon's Lash. So whacking us for 3 commander damage, our commander can switch that off, assuming that they don't have removal for it. Let's go Worldly Tutor. And I think just Tendershoot Dryad is okay here, so we'll put the Tendershoot Dryad on top. I don't think we need to necessarily get down our Ruxa straight away. Alright, get into another land there. Hunter's Insight is probably a good thing to keep hold of, so we'll keep all of these. Kind of wishing I'd kept the 2 mana enchantment now, because we've had a few opportunities to get that down. But let's go for the Tendershoot Dryad this turn. That triggers on every upkeep, so we'll get a 1/1 Saproling. Couple of permanents away from getting the +2/+2 buff on there. And they do get their black mana from a land. Immediately casting Terminate onto that, so... likely going to swing in with their commander here. Playing an Impulsive Pilferer, they go down to 2 cards. And that just triggers on them swinging in, so I'm actually going to take the damage here because they might buff the Ognis later on and we'll wish that we had a means of blocking it. Down to 21 already. Alright, and yeah, not doing too well on the lands, annoyingly. So we'll put the Grizzled Outrider on top. I'll keep hold of the Rumbling Baloth, I think. Nature's Law is free here, effectively. So let's go for the Harrier Naga, and then we'll cast our commander as well. So this thing gets a +1/+1 buff, as does the Saproling, and we can block the Ognis quite well now. Still continuing to swing in here. I'll just give my opponent the treasure token from this thing, and we'll block their commander as well, see what combat trick they've got for us. Okay, sacrificing their commander to a Momentous Fall will draw them 3 cards, as well as adding 2 command attacks to their commander. We do keep the Harrier Naga in play with that. Seeing a Gingerbrute now, which we won't be able to block unless we get some haste into play. Okay, there's that Mana Reflection again. Scepter of Celebration is very good. So let's dump the Mana Reflection back on top. Yeah, I do want to be making land drops. It's annoying to lose the Scepter of Celebration here, but well, maybe we are equalising here. Yeah, I'll pay the life. Cast Nissa's Pilgrimage, seeing as how we can't get into land straight off the top. We search for 3 forests here. 1 goes in tap, 2 into hand, play one of them, and we've got 8 mana available to us here. So now play and equip the Scepter of Celebration. We'll put it onto the... yeah, we'll put it onto our commander here. It's commander damage, and I think they're going to want to remove that thing anyway. Plus I don't want to block with it in case they have a little combat trick for us. So swing in there. Argument to be made for me putting it on a vanilla creature, actually, because this can have things deal combat damage as though they weren't blocked. But we get through anyway, knocking them down to 37 and 6 commander. And we get some 2/2 citizen tokens there. A Molten Primordial now enters the battlefield, and they can gain control of a creature here. Just got a bunch of chump blockers into play, so I don't know if I'm necessarily worried about that. Taking our 4-4 away from us. Gets debuffed down to a 3-3, of course. And then swinging in at us with their 6-4. And the 3-3, we will chump block with the sap, our own 3-3, and then double block on the primordial. Turns out that getting that equipment down was the right thing to do last turn. Alright, so I think we might have stabilised here. It's an Avenger of Zendikar, Khalni Ambush. Could be good on our opponent's commander. Put the Avenger on top, put the land on top. Likely just going to draw into those, maybe this turn if we go Hunter's Insight. So let's put the Scepter onto the Harrier Naga now, because we can have that deal combat damage to our opponent and make a bunch more citizens. Play out the Muruganda Petroglyphs as well, which is +2/+2 onto vanilla creatures. Oh, and that's a bit of a nombo actually. That does give trample to a creature, so this isn't vanilla anymore. Does debuff it. Yeah, okay, but I think it's still good for making a bunch of 4/4 citizens for free. So swing in here with a bunch of stuff. I'll leave one citizen back just in case they can do something to us here. But they just decide to take everything, so plummet down to 16. The Scepter will trigger and make 5 citizen tokens, all 4/4s for us. And with that, I'll just get down the Greater Good, just for the sake of having it in play. I'm going to hold up the Khalni Ambush as well. I think we've pretty much got this here. And that is a Steel Hellkite from our opponent, does not have haste. And then sacking their treasures, the Putrefy going to go onto our mana doubler, a little bit too late for that I think. Khalni Ambush going to have our equipped creature fight the Steel Hellkite. We'll each lose our creatures there. But I think theirs is better than ours. And then we lose our double mana. Should have sacrificed it to the Greater Good actually. We would have gone up a couple of cards there. But I'm pretty sure we've got this anyway. There's the Avenger of Zendikar again, so let's go Sol Ring on top. Yeah, just dump the land on top as well. Equip up our Ruxa and turn everything in sideways. Returning the Harrier Naga back to our hand thanks to the Ruxa swinging in. And there we go, managed to slow them down. They didn't get too many hasty creatures in the early game, and that's the problem I find with, what is it called, with Ognis. So yeah, got some good games with it on the channel, but it's not the best 1v1 commander to be honest. We'll try another game. Just inserting this bit of audio right at the end of the game here because I didn't realise until the game was over that Eager Beaver is actually a friend of the channel, viewer of the channel, so massive thank you to Eager Beaver for watching. I only saw the chat right at the end of the video, that's why I didn't interact with you, so I do apologise for that. Up against Aisha Tanaka this time, which I've never played against before. Plenty of ramp there and some card draw, so definitely keep. Draw into our first vanilla creature in Garrick's Gorehorn, just drop a land and pass. Lion Sash for our opponent, not really too worried about our graveyard to be honest. Draw into Elemental Bond, which will be good to get out before any creatures. Rampant Growth here because it comes in tapped. Swinging in at us with a 1/1 and they do exile the Rampant Growth, like I said, not too worried about that. We draw into Gaia's Cradle, which we can just drop this turn, but yeah, doesn't tap for mana annoyingly, because we could have gone Skyshroud Claim here and accelerated a lot more. Mana Vault from the Azorius player. And down comes their commander on turn 4. Tapping a Pain Land in order to exile the 3 visits from our graveyard. I'm not sure it's worth the life for it. Okay, not getting into a land there unfortunately, so it's just Skyshroud Claim here. Once again being punished for the Gaia's Cradle here, because could have got down the Elemental Bond this turn. Drew into Gaia's Anthem that turn by the way. Land for the turn is a Spire of Industry, and the Lion Sash gets equipped up to the commander. So that swings in and triggers, looking at the top 4 cards, and completely whiffing on that, surprisingly. So just exiling the ramp from our graveyard again. Alright, getting into another land for the turn, so just playing crack that straight away I think. So let's get down Elemental Bond here, or be a good idea to get down the Nissa actually. Get down some mana doubling. And that will make a creature for the Gaia's Cradle as well. Unless they've got counter magic, of course. Exiling a land from our graveyard. They're down to 37. We haven't done anything to them yet. Untap one of the tap lands. Our forest will now tap for 2 mana. So we tap everything. Let's go Elemental Bond here. And then get down our commander, and we will cantrip with the commander thanks to Elemental Bond. That draws us into a snow-covered forest, which is even more mana for next turn. Dropping a Jeweled Lotus here. I don't know if they did that last turn or if that's just been sat there for a whole turn. Temple of the False God is this turn as well. They've got 4 cards in hand, not swinging in. So not sure if they're holding up a rift for us. We'll throw down a land. So tap down a forest, untap the forest straight away, and then we can go for the Guardian Project, and then tap down Gaia's Cradle for 3, a land for 2, and we'll go for the Garruk's Gorehorn. That will draw us 2 cards here. Draw into another means of ramp, that is Vernal Bloom, will give us an additional green mana. Yeah, I'm not sure we're going to go for Ugin this turn. Yeah, I'm not sure if we are or not. Oh, I'm just swinging in with my commander here. I keep forgetting this isn't a vanilla creature. I'm thinking that we can just push its damage through. Alright, we win either way there because we get either 4 combat damage, 4 commander damage onto our opponent, or we get 4 damage on there. And now we can Lightning Bolt with the Ugin, or try to. So casting the Ugin, they've got 4 cards left in hand. See if they want to go for the Cyclonic Rift or anything here. Alright, there is a Teferi's Protection, so forcing them to crack that there. They should really have forced us to tick up with the Ugin there first. Well, that's alright. We can just Lightning Ball our Garruk's Gorehorn. And then we'll just play the Vernal Bloom this turn. Continuing to make lands, it is an Academy Ruins this time. And then it's Transmute Artifact, converting their Jeweled Lotus into something. Alright, and it's Hammer of Nazan, so making their commander indestructible as well as giving it a +2 buff to its power. Having to pay the 4 mana into that though. Hammer of Nazan does auto-equip itself. So they could whack a Planeswalker for a decent sum of damage here. They'll have to tap down their commander for it though. And they are going for it. Alright, so this time getting into Sword of Fire and Ice. And a Nettle Seist. So much better this time. Yeah, I didn't realise it goes straight into play. I was looking in the revealed zone before, so they must have got the Jeweled Lotus straight into play off the ability before. So this is Indestructible, Pro Blue and Red, and it's going to whack the Ugin for a hell of a lot. If we want to get rid of this thing with Ugin, we're going to have to wipe out all of our permanents as well, so yeah, let's just chump block here. Annoyingly, we're going to lose a big powerful creature when the return of the Wild Speaker could have done some work for us there. Alright, well that's not a terrible draw. Each of our lands tapping for 3 now, so Rumbling Baloth, get that into play. That will draw us some cards of course. Okay, a Strip Mine. Let's play the Gaia's Anthem as well to give our stuff a buff, or just one of our creatures a buff in this case. Untap one of our forests. And then we'll go Return of the Wild Speaker here, draw a card equal to the greatest power amongst non-humans, which is 6 power at the moment. They don't have any blue mana held up, so feel fairly confident in drawing into a bunch of good stuff here. Okay, a Rishkar's Expertise isn't terrible. Let's just drop a forest because they're making so much mana at this point. Throw out the Emerald Medallion as well. And then Nature's Law is actually going to net us a bunch of mana, because it's 1 mana to get it out, and then the land that it brings in untapped will tap for 3. So that's a no-brainer. Then this will draw us 2 cards for 2 mana. Okay, just getting into a couple more lands, annoyingly. So in that case, tap down the Gaia's Cradle, that taps for 6 mana. So now we can go Rishkar's Expertise, we'll draw even more. Alright, and into a Commander's Plate, which can get us through all of our opponent's stuff. A Beast Within on the Hammer of Nazan isn't terrible, but let's go Beast Whisperer here, because we've just drawn into a Regal Force. Again, that's going to draw us a couple of cards. A Heroic Intervention's good to hold up. Have to make sure to hold up the right amount of mana. So in that case, the 2 mana that's floating here can just go on a Cultivate. We'll get a mana, 1 land in tapped. Probably end up discarding the other one's hand size. Was just going to waste the mana otherwise, because I want to swing in with these Vigilance creatures before we tap them down for mana. So swinging for a bunch there, going to get the Gorehorn back thanks to Ruxa's ability. Knock our opponent down to 18. And then we'll go for a 2 mana Beast Within onto the Hammer of Nazan before they draw into any counter magic. That gives Indestructible, but it doesn't have Indestructible itself. Now the biggest CMC is 3, I think, yep. Might as well Lightning Bolt the Beast token. And then I'll throw down the Regal Force, we'll draw a hell of a lot of cards here, cantripping with the Beast Within. There is a Krosan Grip, which we can play this turn most likely. Draw from Elemental Bond, draw from Guardian Project. That shoots us up to 19 cards in hand, and yeah, I think we go for the Krosan Grip here. That can go onto the Nettle Seist, which gives it a nice buff. Goes back down to a 5/7. We don't have a 7-power creature, annoyingly. Otherwise, could have gone for this. But it doesn't matter, we can just get down the Colonian Tusker here and hold up the Heroic Intervention. Again, drawing cards from this. Alright, drew us into Wolverine Riders, Terrain Elemental, and Primordial Worm. Just past the turn there. Discarding a bunch of lands and a Commander's Plate down to hand size. Doing stuff during the upkeep here. Okay, grabbing the Hammer of Nazan back again. So we know what they're drawing for the turn. 1 damage dealt to them by the Mana Vault. So playing out the Hammer of Nazan again. Obviously could have strip mined this thing, but I'm thinking our opponent might scoop if we'd done that. Plus it's fun to see what our opponent might get into here. 1 card left in hand, so they need to win this turn really. Swinging in at the Nissa this time because they're worried about the emblem. Lands you control have indestructible. And we can search for a bunch of forests next turn if we want to, but they won't have double mana because we'll kill off the Nissa. So I think I'd leave it another turn anyway. I'm getting into some stuff this time, it's just mana though. That is a Sword of the Animist, a Mind Stone, and an Amulet of Vigour. So still no evasion for them, we'll just have to chump block here I think. Throw a Regal Force in the way because it has an ability. Okay, and looks like we have our opponent here, so I think I'll just go through to the combat step. Swing in with everything and hope that our opponent doesn't have a Settle the Wreckage or something. Ruxa will just grab back the Garrick's Gorehorn, because that's the cheapest one there, the other one's 6 mana. They can exile it in response if they want to, I'm not really bothered. Drawing a card with the Mind Stone. Deciding to allow us to have that, so looks like we do just win here. And there we go, knocking them down to -19, so a pretty good showing in those couple of games for Ruxa, Patient Professor. Do have to be careful about a couple of those equipments and enchantments and stuff, giving keywords even if they're not the reason that you put them in the deck. But this is a vanilla deck for the most part, for obvious reasons. If you did enjoy this gameplay from Ruxa, then be sure to leave it a like and help get it recommended to other potential viewers of the channel. And a huge thank you to the patrons for their support financially over the years. I'm tribalkai. Thank you for watching.